What's up, my friends? If you're tired of feeling like your lack of coding skills is holding you back from launching that business idea that you have, then you're in good hands here because we are going to cover the ultimate guide on how to build your startup with no code. But not only that, I'm also going to be covering the specific tools that you can use right now to get started. What is up, my friends? Welcome back to the Startup Studio. I'm Christian, the co-founder at We Are No Code. And because I know the only reason you're watching these videos is to meet my dogs, I wanted to introduce you again to Molly. She hates me. Okay, Usha wants some airtime too. And yes, they're just overgrown rats, but I love them so much. Okay, back to business. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel to get more tips and tricks for entrepreneurs. So for those of you who don't know what no-code entrepreneurship is, it refers to the ability to build businesses leveraging these powerful no-code tools. They allow you to build websites, apps, and all sorts of software without learning how to program and without coding at all. So you can drag and drop functionalities, point, click, you can do all the logic in plain English. So if someone hovers over this button, I want it to turn from green to red. Now in contrast, the old way of building businesses required deep programming know-how to be able to get things off the ground. And it usually required founders to either learn how to write code or to hire a team of people who did. And of course, this is a big barrier to entry for most people because either they don't have a huge budget to be able to spend on all these people, or they don't have 3 to 6 months to learn how to code. And if you think this is a joke, go check out some of the videos on our channel where we feature some of the no-code entrepreneurs that we train and no-code founders out in the wild building million-dollar businesses. Now, people who build this way can be called citizen developers, they can be called no-coders, they can be called makers, there's all sorts of names for them, but ultimately they're usually one-man innovation houses. And so if you ask me, this is the future of the way that people should be launching businesses. It is quicker to learn, it is cheaper to do, and it is faster to build. What's not to like about that, right? Okay, so now let's jump into each step one by one. Step number one is to identify the market opportunity. And usually that comes in two parts. Who is the customer and what is the problem, or what is the huge benefit that they're gonna get from using this? Now, of course, not all businesses are based around a problem, but they usually are. So some of you may already have a very specific idea of what you want, and others are gonna wanna go out there and generate ideas. Regardless, at this first stage, what's gonna be important is for you to identify what kind of customers, what is the niche that is having this specific problem, and also to validate that that's actually a problem these people say that they have. And so as part of this step, we're going to be doing customer discovery, which is talking to potential customers, so people who we think are going to be our customers, and finding out whether they have a problem without talking about any solutions for the moment. The reason for that is because as soon as you present a solution, they're going to start giving you the mom treatment, which is, yes, honey, you look great. And that is really not valuable feedback for you. Now, after a couple conversations, you'll realize whether or not there is an opportunity to take advantage of in this field. If not, very easily, you can just pivot to another idea or you can target another customer. Now, step two is to build a smoke test leveraging no-code tools. Now, this is the process where we're gonna act like we have built out the entire company, presenting a very specific solution to that problem we've identified. Why? Because we can't take these people's word for it. We need to test what these people actually do. And this is a quick and cost-effective way to validate that people are willing to take an action that proves that there is demand and that there is potential future revenue to be made from this idea. It's also going to give you a lot of insight about which first features you have to build to deliver the value to the customer. So without this step, you have an idea for a solution to a problem, and you can go ahead and spend the next 6 months and all your savings trying to build that MVP just to go to market and be like most founders, which realize that what they built does not solve the problem, or people are not using it regularly, and that's something we want to avoid for you. Now, a smoke test is pretty much a landing page, so it's basically a one-page website which explains the problem, the solution, the benefit someone will get from it, which is called a value proposition. Now, there's a structured way to create these smoke tests, and there are also no-code tools that can allow you to do that very cost effectively. But before building, you're gonna need to think about branding and content to populate this build, right? So the first thing you might wanna do is to come up with a name. You don't have to find a perfect name. People are not gonna buy the name of your brand for the moment, and you can always change it later once you've done the testing and validated this business idea. You can then quickly go to Fiverr and pay someone $30 to create a first professional looking version of a logo. Now again, if you're getting stuck, it's probably because you're trying to find the perfect name or you want the perfect logo. Don't get stuck. You just want to get it done good enough enough, move forward. This is a testing phase, remember that. Then you're gonna need things like photography, or maybe you need illustrations. You're gonna need some icons to populate this build. That's where we're gonna go to places like Icon 8, Pexels, and Undraw, Unsplash, and a number of other free resources that you can use to populate this landing page. Now, my big advice here with branding is don't try to have loads of different styles. Choose kind of one style, stick to it, keep it simple. Let's go. Awesome. Now we need to select a no-code tool to build in. Very simple. I'll give them to you right now. One of them is called Card, and the other one is called Softer. Now, Card is very limited in what you can actually build, but it does it very easily. Softer, on the other hand, can allow you to start learning how to build very simple things quickly, like landing pages, smoke tests, but then you can also build web apps. You can build all sorts of platforms leveraging Softer. Okay, so that was step 2, build your smoke test. Now, step 3 is gonna be to go out there and try to get customers towards this landing page, this smoke test, to see if we can get their email address, or if we can get them to click on a fake buy button, or if we can get them to click on a sign up for the beta list, or if we can get them to click on pretty much any call to action that you're trying to get them that's gonna be like, okay, there's some kind of demand behind this. You know, like this is not me just wasting my time alone overthinking things. But before that, I highly recommend that you quickly install a software called Hotjar, which is just about tracking and analytics. It can show you how people are interacting with this smoke test. Are they trying to click on something that's not a button? How far down are they scrolling? Are they bouncing immediately? You can literally see the interactions that they're having specifically on your website, and it can be super valuable for you to learn more from them. Now, once you've done that, there are a couple ways to get people towards your smoke test. The first one would be to do direct outreach to some of these people. So for example, if you're targeting someone who has a specific position in a company, you could go on LinkedIn, do a search for those kind of people, create a list, and start doing outreach. So add them, and if they add you back, you can send them a message talking to them about what you're working on, the benefits of it, and see whether or not they're clicking. That's a very good indicator of whether this is something interesting or not. You can also go to online groups and communities where your potential customers are already, and you can go start interacting. So for example, you could enter a group and you could create a great post that adds value to that customer inside of that group. And at the end, you could be like, by the way, I'm working on this little link, and see if they click through to it. That's going to be a very good indicator. You can also create content, although that is kind of a longer game. You can choose to do limited ads. So start targeting your people based on interest. You can do this on all types of ad platforms, but I would really not spend too much money there. It's really just about testing right now. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is to get people's email addresses so that we can learn more about what they need. And this is going to really help us in identifying what we have to build for that first MVP. Again, the risk of just building it and seeing if they come is usually they don't come. You're targeting the wrong issue, you're targeting the wrong customer, and we're going to go back to the drawing board after all this time spent. Now, the next step in this process is going to be to build an MVP. Now, MVP stands for a minimum viable product. People oftentimes think of it as an entire app. It is not. The most important thing with an MVP is to deliver the value that the customer is looking for. And so your next challenge is going to be to identify what is a half-baked product that I could build to be able to deliver the value that someone is looking to pay for, and then go out there and test it. So for example, there was a maid service where the founders, the only thing that they did for their MVP was to build just a form that people could fill out online in the form of a very simple app where people could ask to book a maid. The only thing that this app did was send them a message with the information of the person who wanted to book this, and it told the user, we will get back to you with a confirmation via text. It sent a message to the founders. The founders called a handful of local maids, and then they found someone that was good for the job. They then texted that person back with a confirmation and all the details. They cashed in the money from the client. They got a maid there on time to do the service, and suddenly they had an actual working business. So I challenge you to figure out what is an experiment like that where you could build an MVP, a very simple first version of your product that will focus on delivering value instead of building this entire massive product. So for example, if your idea is to create some kind of a dashboard for people to be able to make decisions about specific data that they have, you probably only need to get that data and then create a report that people are going to be able to read that's going to give them the insight that they need. So you could literally get them to just give you the data. Then behind the scenes, you take that data, you create a couple of nice charts with it, and then you might even post a screenshot of that inside a members area, and then you ping them saying your report is ready, and they can check out this report, which is ultimately the value that they are looking for. They don't care if it's AI, machine learning, automation, behind the scenes that's doing the job. All they care about is the value that they are looking for. And guess what? By running running an experiment like this, you will have cashed in money, proven that there is demand behind what you're doing. You will have understood how to go from meeting someone all the way to fulfilling the product for them, so you'll understand the exact features that you need to build in the next version of your MVP to be able to make those things more scalable for more people. And these are all the kinds of shortcuts that we teach entrepreneurs how to use at We Are No Code to build and launch their company cost effectively. So if you want to check it out or download our free course, you can click below and do so. Now for the no-code tools to build your MVP, you have several options. You could build it in software, you could build it maybe with Airtable, you could build it simply with Webflow and MemberStack, you could build it with Bubble. There are a huge number of no-code tools that you can use, but do remember that building a product is not building a startup. There are so many other things that you have to learn to build a successful startup. Product just happens to be one part of it. Subscribe if you haven't already. My name is Christian Peverelli, and this is my startup studio. Let's go.